Assalamu alaikum. This is Shorub Mujumdar welcoming you all to the English news from Btv-Chattogram. Let's begin with the headlines. Chief Advisor Professor Mohammad Yunus places 6 proposals to end global hunger at World Food Forum. Second day of arguments held in case against Sheikhhasina and 2 others over crimes against humanity of July movement. Last 20 living hostages released by Hamas back in Israel after more than 2 years captivity. And Bangladesh set target of 233 runs against South Africa in ICC Women's Cricket World Cup at Visakhapatnam in India. Those were the headlines. Now moving on to the details. Chief Advisor Professor Mohammad Yunus today placed 6 proposals for a complete transformation of the global food and economic systems to end hunger, saying hunger is caused by the failure of the existing economic framework. The Chief Advisor presented a keynote speech at the grand opening of the World Food Forum flagship event 2025 at Food and Agricultural Organization FAO headquarters in Rome, Italy this afternoon. While proposing 6 points to reform the global food and economic system, Professor Yunus said firstly, stop the wars, start the dialogue and ensure food access in conflict zones for breaking the hunger and conflict cycle. He said secondly, keep the promises, fulfill the SDG finance commitments, take climate action seriously and help the most vulnerable build resilience. Thirdly, create regional food banks to manage shocks and stabilize supply chains, he said. The Chief Advisor said fourthly, create and supply local entrepreneurs, particularly youth entrepreneurs, with finance, infrastructure and global partnerships. Fifthly, he suggested ending export bans, saying trade rules must support food security, not undermine it. He also said sixthly, ensure access to and development of technology and innovation, especially for the global south and to the rural youth, boys and girls. Putting emphasis on launching a new kind of business, social business, business without personal profit, Chief Advisor Professor Mohammad Yunus today said that building a world with 3 zeros is not a dream but a necessity to save the world. Elaborating his vision of a 3-0 world, 0 wealth concentration to end poverty, 0 unemployment and 0 net carbon emissions, he said, this is not a dream, it is necessity, the only way to save the world. Putting emphasis on imagination and innovation, Professor Yunus said, the pillars of this forum, youth science investment, are not slogans. They are the tools we need to transform our food systems and our societies.
Hunger is not caused by scarcity. It is caused by the failure of the economic framework that we have designed. We must change the system. Let me propose a few steps. Break the hunger, conflict cycle, stop the wars, start the dialogue, ensure food access in conflict zones. Keep the promises, fulfill the SDG finance commitments, take climate action seriously, and help the most vulnerable build resilience. Create regional food banks to manage shocks and stabilize supply chains. Create and support local entrepreneurs, particularly youth entrepreneurs, with finance, infrastructure, and global partnership. End export bans. Trade rules must support food security, not undermine it. Ensure access to and development of technology and innovation, especially for the global south and to the rural youth, both boys and girls. But we must go deeper. We must rethink the entire economic system. The old way, which is based on profit-maximizing business, has left billions behind. We need to add a new kind of business. We call it social business, a business without personal profit that solves problems, not creates them, by creating sustainable businesses. Many social businesses are growing around the world, but without any policy support, without any institutional recognition. We must change that. Ultimate objective is to create a world of 3 zeros, a world with zero wealth concentration to end poverty. You cannot end poverty with allowing wealth concentration in a limitless way. Zero unemployment by replacing it with entrepreneurship for all. Zero net carbon emissions. This is not a dream. It's a necessity, the only way to save the world.
The second day of arguments is underway in the case filed against crimes against humanity during the July movement against Sheikhhasina and 2 others. The arguments began this morning at International Crimes Tribunal 1, headed by Justice Ghulam Murtuja Mujumdar. On the second day, Chief Prosecutor Mohammad presented the arguments on behalf of the prosecution. During the hearing, the Chief Prosecutor referred to the testimonies of several witnesses out of the 54 recorded over 28 days and presented newspaper excerpts describing incidents of killings and torture that occurred during the July movement. In addition, a video clip showing the brutal killing of a young man named Raater by police gunfire in Konabari, Gazipur during the July movement was presented before the tribunal. As of the latest update, the prosecution's arguments were still ongoing. After the prosecution concludes, the state-appointed defense counsel for Sheikhhasina will present arguments on her behalf. Finally, the prosecution will have an opportunity to respond in rebuttal. Once the arguments are completed, the case will move to the verdict stage. Earlier, after 28 working days, the tribunal concluded witness testimonies on October 8th with the cross-examination of Investigation Officer Mohammad Alamgir, the 54th and final witness in the case. Apart from Sheikhhasina, the other 2 accused in this case are former Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal and former IGP Chaudhry Abdullah Al Mamun, who has become a prosecution witness. Meanwhile, the International Crimes Tribunal 2 has scheduled October 21st for the next witness hearing in the murder case of Abu Said, the first martyr of the July mass uprising. The nationwide typhoid vaccination campaign is continuing for the second day across Bangladesh. Nearly 50 million children aged between 9 months and under 15 years are being administered the typhoid conjugate vaccine, which is a safe and effective vaccine that provides over 85% protection against typhoid. Crowds of children accompanied by their parents were seen at various schools and hospitals to receive the vaccine. The school-based vaccination program will continue until October 30th at schools, madrasas and temporary centers under both government and private initiatives. Children who do not attend school or live on the streets will also be able to receive the vaccine until November 13th under this campaign. So far, over 16.8 million children have been registered for vaccination. However, birth certificates or prior registration are not mandatory. Every eligible child will be vaccinated and protected. Health experts say that this initiative will not only help prevent typhoid, but also significantly improve the overall health standards of children across the country. Typhoid vaccination program for children of certain age groups is underway across the country under the expanded vaccination program. The Chattogram City Corporation and other concerned parties have adopted various processes in the vaccination campaign. For these, 410 teams have been formed in the city. Vaccination will be provided in 1,546 schools and 783 outreach sites in 7 zones in 41 wards. Vaccination will continue till 13th November, excluding Fridays and public holidays. In addition to preventing typhoid, the main goal of the program is to ensure that no one of a certain age group is left out of the vaccination. Vaccination of school-level students will go on from 12th October to 31st October. Today, students of various schools were seen receiving the vaccine in a festive atmosphere. They said they will be free from the deadly typhoid disease as a result of vaccination. Studying from the concerned schools, Chattogram City Corporation is providing all kinds of support to ensure the smooth completion of the vaccination program for students in the city's educational institutions. The concerned are performing their duties at various stages, from the registration process to vaccination. Typhoid vaccine, like other vaccines, is of immense importance in protecting the health of children in order to build a healthy and disease-free generation of the nation. For this, about 9.7 million children of a certain age are being vaccinated in Chattogram division. After educational institution, vaccine will be given to the community level from the November 1st to November 13th. The target of vaccinating 8,29,301 people in the city has been set. BNP Secretary-General Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir has said that if the party wins the upcoming national election with the people's mandate, it will create employment for 4 crore unemployed people. Of them, 1 crore jobs will be created in the very first year. He made the remarks today while exchanging views with a delegation from the Christian community at the BNP chairperson's Gulshan political office. Mirza Fakhrul said attempts are being made to create divisions in Bangladesh along religious lines, but everyone living in this land is a citizen of Bangladesh. BNP chairperson's personal secretary ABM Abdul Sattar, Bangladesh Hindu Buddhist Christian Welfare Front Secretary General Michael Gomez, the Christian Cooperative Credit Union Limited, Dhaka President Mrigan Hagidak, and Christian Religious Welfare Trust Trustee Montu Peter Rosario, among others, were present at the meeting. Information and Broadcasting Secretary Mahbuba Farzana said the project stakeholders are working to implement the 10 ongoing projects under the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting within the stipulated time. She said this while inaugurating a day-long training on project management organized at the Information Building in the capital today. In her inaugural speech, the Information and Broadcasting Secretary said, project management is one of the foundations for the successful implementation of development activities. Starting from planning to implementation, monitoring and evaluation, specific guidance and efficient management are required at each stage. The skills of project-related officials need to be developed to maintain the right balance between project goals, time frame and cost. Mahbuba Farzana urged the trainees to utilize the knowledge gained from the training. Former Secretary Mustaq Gausul Haq was present as a resource person in this day-long training organized by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Officials of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting and its subordinate departments and organizations were present in the training. Now international news. The last 20 living hostages held by Hamas in Gaza are now back in Israel after more than 2 years' captivity, the Israeli ministry confirms. The hostages were kidnapped by Hamas during the 7th of October attacks in 2023. They include twin brothers Ziv and Gali Berman, who were pictured together in Gaza this morning. The remains of a further 28 deceased hostages are yet to be handed over. In exchange for the hostages, Israel is releasing 250 Palestinian prisoners and more than 1,700 detainees. The first batch have left Israeli prisons. Donald Trump is in Israel and addressed Parliament. He will then head to Egypt for a peace summit with world leaders. Trump earlier declared the war is over in Gaza, but he avoided bigger questions about the next stages of his peace plan. Iran has suspended the cooperation agreement signed with the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, the UN nuclear watchdog. The country's foreign minister, Syed Abbas Araghchi, confirmed this information on Sunday. In an interview with Iranian state television, Raater said that Iran has suspended the nuclear cooperation agreement with the IAEA. If the UN makes a proposal that helps protect Iran's rights and national interests, Iran will return to the agreement. Iran signed the Non-Proliferation Act, or NPT agreement, with the IAEA in 1968. At that time, however, the current Islamist regime was not in power. The last king of Iran, or Shah Reza Pahlavi, was the head of the state and government of Iran at that time. By signing the NPT agreement with the IAEA, Iran promised that the country would never develop nuclear weapons and would cooperate with the IAEA. Iran's relations with the IAEA soared after clashes with Israel and the United States in June. On June 6th, the IAEA said in a statement that Iran currently has 400 kilograms of uranium in stock. The purity of this uranium is 60%. If this purity can be increased to 90%, it will be possible to easily produce nuclear weapons with it. A week after the IAEA made this statement, Israel launched the air operation The Rising Lion in Iran on the night of June 12th. Shortly after the operation began, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a video message that the operation was launched in accordance with the statement of the United Nations Atomic Energy Agency. Beijing has warned that China will retaliate if U.S. President Donald Trump imposes new 100% tariffs, as he has threatened. President Trump recently announced tariffs on China after it banned the export of rare earth minerals. A spokesman for China's Ministry of Commerce said that the threat of tariffs is not an appropriate way to deal with the current situation. The Chinese official said if the United States takes unilateral action, China will also take necessary measures to protect its legitimate rights and interests. Meanwhile, the renewed tension between China and the United States has had a negative impact on major stock markets around the world. In addition, the ongoing tension between China and the United States has also raised concerns about a possible meeting between President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea.